Next speaker is Dr. Michrowski? Michr- Michrowski. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I speak on behalf of the Planetary Association for Clean Energy. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome the current review of the Safety Code, essentially unchanged since 1979, and which has as its origin post-war Secretary of State, where I had to purview what became the rest of the actual code, Communications Canada, Industry Canada is concerned on non-interference between telecommunication systems for the national grid, radio and television, telephony, and communications radar. 2, the advice of Nazi scientists emerging out of detention and extermination camp in vivo human body experiments in the United States, paperclip project, which request them to develop parameters for the spectrum's usage. And ICNIRP, which is registered as a German social club that has World Health Organization NGO affiliation that produces impressive manifestos that even its head, Paolo Vecchia, emphasizes that their own guidelines are not mandatory prescriptions for safety, were never intended to be of any medical collateral value, and are based on acute terminal values, that is, that or near that, within 6 minutes as estimated in laboratories using phantom heads, which are conductive liquid-filled plastic dolls. In the meantime, this code has drifted into new circumstances, noting that the Council of Europe and the European Parliament Resolution 1815, 2011, indicates a maximum of 1 microwatt per centimeter square, and noting that in contrast with the natural health risk background microwave 300 megahertz to 1 gigahertz power density of less than 0.00001 microwatt since per centimeter square since 1979, average urban emissions rose from 1/10,000 of a microwatt per centimeter square to 1 microwatt centimeter square from 1980 to 1999. That it was before the implementation of cell phones. In 2011, the average indoor background residential levels in Canada, even without indoor wireless devices, range from 100 to over 4 microwatt per centimeter square. In 2013, outdoor levels are between 1/10 to over 15 microwatt per centimeter square at 1 meter above ground under some high voltage power lines and in some major traffic corridors like the Garden Expressway in Toronto. Levels approach or exceed 1,000 microwatt per centimeter square. That's over the code. In some suburbs, and I'm giving this one, I'm actually citing with them I just measured last week, Ottawa South. At head level, power densities can range from 40 to 100 megawatt per centimeter square in view of the neighborhood area networks, which come from smart meters, Wi-Fi, routers, etc., and is expected to rise another 20 to 50-fold by 2015 based on industry forecasts. In another Ottawa case, a resident built as a federal housing demonstration project for the electrosensitives is a bay of smart meters whose power density has risen in January 2012 from 20 microwatt per centimeter square. By July 2013, that's just a few months ago, to 40 microwatt, and in October this month, 2030, to 80 microwatts per centimeter square, with a total harmonic distortion of up to 4,500 microwatts per centimeter square. The above increases may be crosstalks with neighborhood wireless devices, LANs and NANs. Now, when emissions exceed current safety code levels, there is no available recourse. No federal jurisdiction and oversight exists. Relief is purely humanitarian mercy, not an option that the sick and the afflicted individuals can rely on. The code is imposed on tens of millions of Canadians in a way that available jurisprudence could implicate manslaughter charges on those designing, regulating, and applying the code. Note that the 1947 Nuremberg Code Medical states that exposing people without informing them on how this particular electromagnetic spectrum can affect their health and without their consent is a contravention, which was written to forbid the experience committed by the Nazis. The code is not drafted like an electrical code to explain implementation. It does not foresee special cases or applications. It assumes only young, healthy male bodies, soldiers, exposed to a single device for less than 6 minutes or equivalent, which is not reality. It ignores damages incurred at endorsed emission levels, which include modification of DNA in humans, animals, or plants, accelerated population aging, Alzheimer's, psychosocial behavioral patterns, problems, neurodegenerative diseases, fertility and reproduction problems, immune system disorders, insomnia, and electrohypersensitivity, and between the use of wireless systems and certain types of cancers, including brain, auditory nerve, and parotid gland tumors. It tolerates acceleration of corrosion of strategic infrastructures, buildings, bridges, pipelines, and even nuclear power stations at an estimated public maintenance cost of billions, if not trillions of dollars. Agriculture is also adversely affected. Soil, cultivation, production, processing. Emission sources have risen from a few thousand, for which the code was intended in 1979, to over 100 million transmitters in Canada alone, resulting in a biologically significant, unstudied phenomenon of random continuous microwave exposure from any direction. I'm sorry. There is a need to develop a regulatory framework that encompasses the spectrum of the current code. Such a framework should follow the Aarhus Convention. There is a need for an independent secretariat mechanism for the interdisciplinary determination of health consequences. You will have this in writing, but there is also, I'm suggesting, as a matter of fact, I'm repeating what we've stated and has been accepted by the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva, by the way. There is a need that we encourage solutions based on the new medical studies with UN agencies like the World Health Organization, the International Labor Organization, as well as Food and Agriculture Organization, and other UN agencies, governments, industry stakeholders, NGOs, consumers and resident associations. Industry stakeholders can already influence certain factors, like the distance between the given site and transmitter, the direction of transmitting antenna in relation to living environment, to better protect people and animals. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any comments?
I'd like to ask you about the measurements you reported about exposure levels being above safety code 6 levels. Do you have a report that you can share with us that explains what you did?
I'm sorry, say that
Do you have a report you can share with us that explains your results?
Yes.
Could we see it?
Oh, there are lots of reports. I produce reports without others I'm sorry, a report.
I thought you described measurements that showed the exposure levels above.
Oh, yes,
safety
yes.
code.
There are quite a
Can you
few.
show us the report?
Yes, with great pleasure. There's about 40, 50 reports if you want to see them.
I'd like to see some of them.
Yeah.
Could you send
Thank
them to the panel?
And I would like you to take note of this document, which was produced in 1973 by National Research Council before all this happened. And you see that there are many more thermal, non-thermal facts, including physical, and then there are thermal.
Could you submit that document and any other literature that you cited into the Royal Society office so that the panel?
With great pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, there's about 50 reports by NRC that you should see.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. Thank you very much.